Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. We're back again with Abdul Jabbar Saab from Bradford and the Wood Saab from all the way from uh, Oxford. No, when I mentioned Oxford, for some reason, I considered it very posh for me. I don't know why. But yeah, so obviously Bradford's very posh as well, right? We've got some urgent matters to talk about. This is our general current affairs show, and I think the topics that we have chosen is uh, the laws that have been changing to deport British citizens. So, and these citizens are mainly from Asian or shall we say Muslim background, and we've seen it across the pond in America and even in India as well. And for some reason, the main people that they get rid of are Muslims. And then we're also going to talk about the bans that are going on Islamic or Islamist groups, political Islam, shall we say. And obviously, we need to decipher what we mean exactly by that. And without further ado, Ajasab, so obviously recently, I think the reports that they want to get rid of up to 45,000 British citizens. Uh, I think it's regarding uh, if they commit offense, and sometimes what do you call, and it's mainly to do with offenses like we've seen like rape, grooming gangs, and whatnot. And obviously they are doing wrong once somebody does something wrong. But do you think, hey, just that having these uh, deportations going on of British citizens, and obviously we know furthermore they're going to change rules again. Do you think we're classed as, well, not saying we're classed, but some people are classed as second class citizens? They just are.
Yeah, so um, mainly, like you mentioned, that this is going to affect Muslim immigrants, even though these people have already been in this country all their life, so they are part and parcel of this society in the UK, in Britain.
Hmm.
But the recent controversy arose when one guy who had just got out of jail for serving time in for his for being a groomer. So this man, they said, look, we don't want him here.
Hmm.
Send him to Pakistan. And Pakistan replied that you've got people, you deport them to us, and then we will allow this man in. We'll take him.
Hmm. Obviously, I think that there's been a this person came here before. Is it 1973? And there was a Commonwealth rulings. If it wasn't for that, I think they would have got rid of him to
Yeah.
Pakistan. Pakistan would have had to accept him because obviously they've got some relationships and some uh, what's the correct word? They've contracted to do that. And obviously, we do know uh, Pakistan is willing to make many contracts. Sometimes not very helpful, but obviously there's is in the news. But the Woods are, so these British citizens that are being deported. Do you think it's correct for Britain to do this?
I couldn't care less what Britain wants to do, but let's talk about the ethics and morals of the situation. If Muslims were doing their job, these guys would have been, the justice would have been served already by the imams that are on the island. But unfortunately, that hasn't happened. Now, there's two ways to look at this. Pakistan can take them and apply the hudud, so they're no longer a burden on the UK or Pakistan, or or um, or the imams can step up in this country and apply the hudud.
Hmm. Right. So thus you put it very simply and without going into much detail. But do you feel the Woods have that you are
We're
now
talking about criminals, yes?
criminals, and in general, at the end of the day, there are white British people who commit crimes. You know, they should they be deported to some island? Because obviously, what do you call it? We do know Britain
They
has
did that.
loads of islands in the Indian Ocean, Falklands, and
Send to
other places.
Australia.
They
Yeah, they
can't.
went to
Send them to
Australia. And what
Australia.
happened there? So
Yeah. So, do you think we should send the white
I think you
British
probably
citizens
like,
over as well?
I think again, I started out with it's ethical and moral
Mm,
framework. We're not framing it. We're just framing it on based on kleptocratic um, laws that have been made up.
mm.
Things we've been talking about for the last 3 weeks. Taghut, man,
Yeah,
man
but
behaving like God,
yeah,
right?
but the
So
Woods have once
yes,
somebody completes their sentence, uh, shouldn't they be free like other
well,
people?
let's say this individual, every
Because the
single
law of the land
evidence.
states that is in. I think so. Obviously, with Islam, whatever the law of the land
We're
is.
talking about a moral framework. So if you and me, Ahmad, agree that the Deen, Allah's law is supreme. So that's whether it's on the dunya or universe, because Allah
Mm,
created the universe.
mm.
What I'm asking is, and this is to the non-Muslims as well, is do you feel to the victims, to the victims, do you feel justice has been served? He's gone to prison. He's had 3 square meals. Now he's going to come out. He's just going to get on with his life. Does that feel fair to you? If
So,
not, what?
what should the penalty be for groomers?
That's what the muftis are there for. They can elaborate on what the penalty should be for such individuals.
So, obviously, but the
And then, of
penalty.
course, the victims as well should decide what they want to,
And
what they would see fit.
there's
Do
a
they want
system.
the British law being applied where he goes to prison, or get some other form of benefits, or should the Islamic law be applied as he is a Muslim?
Okay, right. Obviously, we've seen obviously with Shamima Begum and other cases in the past where a 15-year-old child, uh, obviously we're talking about within the parameters of UK law, is obviously she's gone with her own free will.
Again, like I said, that's a double standard on their part, and we've allowed that. We've
Mm,
allowed that. The Muslims have allowed that. The Imams have allowed that. I remember when that happened, when these girls went over, you had BBC doing tear jerking moments with the mosque in was it East London, Bangladeshi mosque, mashallah. And I was like, what's going on? They're like, you guys laid the foundation for this to happen 5 years later. It was 2016, wasn't it? Sorry, when the 2014 when they started to happen. I think Shabima Begum left in 14 or 16,
mm,
and and then in 2018, Sajid Javed made her stateless, right?
mm,
So the foundation was laid by who? The Muslims. They never said that she was our daughter. They abandoned her.
mm. I know,
That's
but
on us.
Sajid Javid is a person who, uh, obviously we shouldn't describe somebody as Muslim or non-Muslim. Sajid Javid is a person who is very liberal and who
I don't
brings
care. He's not the
and
issue. The muftis and the imams. The BBC went to the masjid that the family apparently frequented. So why did they allow that? Why, they should not even be in, their parameter should be working within the legal framework to repatriate Shamima Begum from the get-go.
but
Shouldn't have ended up here. I think Muhammad Akunji, mashallah, tabarakallah, he's the only one of the best lawyers in the country, and in Shamima Begum's one of her cases. His cases.
yeah, no, I came across that name recently because of I think he's standing for in elections. He was supposed to. I think.
Yeah, he was, but I don't think he's doing it now.
Yeah. So right. Okay, that's interesting. You've now that you mentioned his name, it does ring a few bells. So AJ Saab, obviously we've seen with high profile cases like Shami Mubega, now this particular individual who obviously his name is Shabir, I think. He's always in the news. He's always in the news, and they
You know what
don't
the most funny
resolve
thing was?
until they do something, the media are not letting him off the hook. It's the same till Naja Faraj, who basically has pressurized with the help of the media. They brought in other immigration laws. They're getting rid of people, obviously coming asylum, which is part of the law of the land where people can claim asylum technically. They haven't changed the law, right? But still, what do you call, for some reason, whenever it comes to Muslims, and yes, they have broken Shabir has the particular individual has broken the law. He's apparently paid the penalty. The victims would have
But has he
received.
paid the penalty in Islam? We don't care whether he's paid the penalty or not.
I know, but that's why I asked you. So, what is the penalty in Islam?
Well, that's for the mufti to decide. I mean, we all know that
It's
zina
brought
is
before a Qadi.
stonable.
It's brought before a Qadi in an Islamic state. There is no Islamic state in Pakistan or Saudi Arabia or Iran. So before we talk about the Sharia and what his punishment is in this world, there is no Islamic Sharia, any land that implements the Sharia. So the problem now is if you look at it, Shabir Ahmed, he served his time in jail, and according to the British law, he's done his time and he's come out. So why do they want to send him to Pakistan? I mean, they're saying if Pakistan doesn't take him, we're going to stop your aid going to Pakistan. We're going to stop this, that, the other. I mean, the Reform Party and the Restore Party, you must have heard what they said.
Amr Saab, what did we say 3 weeks ago? Who writes the policies for Pakistan? UK, Washington,
Worldwide,
Whitehall.
yes.
Yes, no way. So you see where I'm coming from. So who is it that we need to get in those positions that write those policies for Pakistan? Muslims. So with this, where we failed, the
So
imams
is this in Britain or
instead? Yeah, in Britain. I'm talking about Britain. Instead of imams,
I think
instead of imams doing
there's
nikah
plenty
and
of
janazeh, they should have been
there's-
they should have been doing political sciences and getting into those positions and leaving the layman job to you and me, the sheep, to do the salah jama'ah
but
5 times a
there's
day.
loads of civil servants and Muslims in politics. So Shabana Mahmood
Muslims, yes.
Muslim.
If that was the case, Amr Saab, we would have taken over just like the Zionists have, but that's not the case.
I know, but she's a Muslim, and you're saying that Muslims need to be Muslims are already in these places, or is it not the correct Muslims?
Why is Shabana Mahmood putting people in prison, not even for committing a crime, not even harming anybody? In fact, trying to save children by stopping the production of instruments that are used to murder, maim babies 3,000 miles away. She's putting them in prison for life, while a rapist will only get 31 months, or like this Shabir guy is going to be coming out like reformed. Really?
But the guy is 73 years old, right? And he has paid the penalty of the law of the land.
Based on who? Based on what?
I don't, but regardless, he's paid the penalty, and now he must, what do you call, us, serve within the law. He's within rights to just basically live in the United Kingdom freely. He's not allowed to be in the Rothschild, which is fine.
Is it moral? What do the victims think?
But he's 73 years old. He's very old.
What do the victims think? I mean, what difference does it make how old he is? He did the crime.
I'm just saying, because he's done the punishment. Because maybe
what punishment? 2 square meals a day. What kind of punishment is that?
At 73, he's not going to commit. Hopefully, you never know. But we don't,
I want to know what the victims are thinking. How do they feel? That's what I want to know. He committed the crime. Criminals commit the crime. It's the enforcers of the law that are going to be called to account. That's me and you, Amr Sahib.
Yeah, but the main point is a rapist, who's white British, who probably is going to end up with lesser sentence.
We're not using the
Right?
framework. Our framework
So
is Islam. That's
that
what
person,
guides our moral
as
capital.
somebody who's Muslim with a Pakistani background, for example,
Exactly.
the
And
penalties are the same.
he should have been tried according to the religion that he prescribed to.
Mm, right. So, AJ, what do you have to say on this matter, where we've got there's no equality in sentences, and people are once again classed as second-class citizens.
Why is Islam being blamed for this? Why is the Muslim community as a whole being collective punishment, facing collective guilt? Obviously, there's, what about the Catholic Church that's been abusing children for so long?
Churches.
What about BBC, Jimmy Savile?
Yep.
I'll give you an example. For example, if you look at the stats, the white, predominantly white men, you could call it, the gangs, they are more in number. But what they do is they play games.
Mm.
They don't want to blame the white community or the white.
I don't know, Amr Saab, no, I'm not sure, AG, if you agree. The greatest threat to the establishment is Islam. So they will look for any excuse.
And that's why
because it's the only challenger.
There are 20 years since they've been following this narrative that Islam is terrorism, is violence.
It's an easy way to shut down the argument.
Of course there is.
So and we are letting them. In fact, we let them do it back then. We shouldn't have allowed it. The Imams should never have allowed it. Instead they still went and voted in the droves for Labour, and they joined Labour and all this nonsense, when it should have been the mosques that were the research centers that were creating the thought processes that led. In fact, the political class of today would have had no choice but to utilize the books that were coming out of the mosques, but that didn't happen. So we can happen now, inshallah. It can happen with our next generation, even existing generation. This is what we forget. In the Seerah, it was everybody. It was the 70-year-olds, 80-year-olds, 40-year-olds, 50-year-olds, 30-year-olds, 20-year-olds, 15-year-olds, and even 8 to 9-year-olds that had hands on deck. How old was Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam when he became a shepherd? He was 8 years old, right? That's a massive responsibility for 8-year-old. But he did it to support his uncle, Abu Talib, right? So and then he was 15 years old when he was involved in skirmishes, war. Yeah. So you see, Amr Saab, how much we're missing out on. How come why is it you're hearing this for the first time from me? Why is it the Imams have never explained this? Why is it they're always saying, oh, you shouldn't go on social media? But you're not even talking about Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam from his early age. You're not even telling them the mission. The mission of every Muslim is to make sure the Quran is at the top. It's it's in like the elite thing in our heads, and present it to the globe, everybody, and that's what the masjids can do, right? And that's what the Imams can do.
In Pakistan and other places, the thing is, look, we need a society which implements Islamic and goes according to Islam. Just to give you an example, in Medina, when the law of prohibition of alcohol was made, everybody took the alcohol out. Why? Because they knew that created the wall. That is thought leaders. They were thought leaders because they relied on Allah. Now, if you look at 1920s, the prohibition law against alcohol, they did not abide by it. Why? Because they don't want to follow. Why should we follow the law of another man? He is the same. Whereas we follow the law of Allah. Because He is our creator, And whatever he tells us to do, we do because he's our creator.
That's fine. I think obviously that is a very nice way to put it. Obviously, that you've got some set guidelines, but obviously we do know. Obviously, previously mentioned there is no Islamic system currently in the world that would.
The system is, but unfortunately, that system is being used by the wrong people. Allah's system doesn't change. This is what you have to understand, Amr Sahab. The system of power is the same, and Allah Azza wa Jal only helps those, or the way the system is created, those who get into the positions of power, of influence, of thought leadership, they're the ones that guide everybody. And at the moment, those people that are guiding us are the Epstein class. That's the things that needs to change, and the Muslims can do that. They should have done that.
Okay, I think previously we had this discussion. How are they going to do that? Obviously, we do know, as I said to
it's simple. I'll be honest with you. It's very, very simple. I know it sounds too simple for these guys because it basically mind boggles them that, oh, I'm going to have to work with the Salaf guys. I'm going to have to work with the Barelvis. I'm going to have to work with the Deobandis. Look, you want to go to Jannah. You want to go to Jannah? You remember what? AJ, do you remember the hadith where the Ansar and the Muhajir were squabbling with one another? Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam stepped outside and said, when will you guys get this nonsense that you guys are doing? Basically, tribalism. Yeah. So this is it. We have to follow the Sunnah of Nabi Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, and we're going to come out of this darkness. And the biggest 5 trillion, 1.5 billion, between 1.5 billion to 2.2 billion annually is collected by charities. We talked about this last week. It takes one fatwa, and then 5 mosques to do that. You watch all the rest of them line up, because that's money that they can access to do amazing things for just a local community. And then you could think about the research centers that could be born out of that in the mosques.
Right.
Sorry, AJ.
So AJ, do you want to say something? Okay, I'll ask the question. So, do you think people, asylum seekers or immigrants, should come to the United Kingdom from the Muslim?
It's in the title, man. Asylum seekers. They're seeking asylum. That's a moral question. It's not. They're not here they don't really want to be here. They're seeking asylum from something.
Obviously, there are a lot of Muslims who come from.
What's happening in those zones? What's happening in Sudan?
Pakistan.
What's happening in Libya? What's happened in Afghanistan? What happened in the last 20 years?
Afghanistan,
Iraq,
Pakistan,
now Iran.
Yeah, they are coming
Syria.
here. Do you think they should still be coming to a safe haven like Britain?
I don't think they should be. I think what needs to happen is the Muslim countries Muslim armies need to remove these corrupt leadership and replace them with a sincere leadership that unites the Muslim countries, look after the affairs of their people, so they don't have to go around and become asylums or refugees in Europe or America or Britain. The system or the rulers, like you mentioned earlier, these rulers are agents. They're not looking after their people. They're just neo-colonialist agenda.
They only care about their bread.
Yeah.
That's it. And that hasn't changed even since Yazid.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's why we have to get into the philosophy of Hussein alayhi salam, Hussein radiallahu, and to get into that philosophy. And that's a hard philosophy to swallow for most of us, man. My heart trembles. I'll be honest with you, the first time in my life, in 36 years of my life, from the moment I could read Surah Al-Ikhlas, today I trembled. Surah Ikhlas is a very short surah, but it's even called Ikhlas, that we have to have sincerity. And my heart was trembling. I couldn't even recite it. Right? So this is not, for those thinkers, it takes a toll. And we need those thinkers. And it's not going to take 1, 2, 3. It's going to take roughly about 10, 50, 20,000 of us, right? It was Hawking was one guy, yeah. He's part of the Epstein class, right? He was caught on those things, but because of Hawkins, we found the black hole, yes, right? Not found it, rediscovered it, or whatnot, however you want to frame it. But the reality is that the energy that now comes out, that is being discovered out of black hole, is called was it called Hawkins matter or whatever. You understand? So that's what the Muslims need to get back to. I'm telling you, Amr Saab, in the Quran, Allah Azza wa Jalla is describing to us that we need to look into the stars and do tadabbur to understand how this system works. The title is Khalafatul Ard. It's in the clue is in the title. It's not dunya. Khalafatul dunya. It's ard, universe. That means we can traverse the universe. We can bend time, matter, space. This is something that we can rediscover. The moment we rediscover that, war is going to be over, my man, without even firing a bullet. Policies are going to be written. The same MPs in the classes are going to come crawling to the masjid for direction. That's what's going to happen. Policies in Pakistan will just change over. Pakistan probably will render not to exist. Most states will render not existing. They'll just become provinces. Look, what is possible through the Quran is mind-boggling, right?
I think what you are saying is, I understand what you're saying, but at the moment it seems pretty far-fetched. You know, we can't even on the.
It was far-fetched then, my man. Amr Saab, Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, people were screaming at him and they said,
Arabs,
do not go for Rome and Persia.
The Arabs
between them, they're 5,000 years old. And
the Arabs and Indians,
Muhammad said, we're doing it.
The Arabs and the Indians were known for the what do you call philosophy and looking at the moon, stars, and whatnot. You know, they were
my friend.
well ahead of the.
What did Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu anh said? He said, we were a disgraced nation. We were a disgraced nation, and the thing that saved us was Islam. That says a lot. The power is there. Our enemies are using it. The annals of even the medical discoveries, their annals, meaning their baselines, that have been set 500 years ago. We haven't moved on from that. And yet Muhammad, Allah Azza wa Jal says to us, I've set the cure before the disease. That's something that we should be rediscovering, right?
Okay. So that means, Muslims need to be more into science and discoveries and technology.
Not just science. There's 4 pillars. I think Sahil Adim says it best. You got, but guys, if you're watching this, check out Sahil Adim. He seems to be the only one talking sense in terms of universally. So you need 4 pillars that we need to have. First, that drives all of them is moral capital. We need moral capital. Then we need what's it called? Intellectual capital. And what's it called? Financial capital, and then you need the political capital, right? So, but all the 3 are driven by the moral capital. And what drives your moral capital? The Seerah and the Quran, right? The Seerah allows you to understand the Quran and also develop your moral capital. Yeah. How did Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and the Sahaba behave? It's astonishing. It's amazing.
Dawood, where did Sahil Adim get this from? The 4 things.
He studied the Quran. He studied the Seerah. He studied the Quran.
But last week when I mentioned the financial bit that we call Muslims need to be financing and they need to put money in. I think you did say we call something that they don't need that.
No, sorry. If that was what I said, I was wrong. Okay. If that's what I said, that was incorrect. Yes, Muslims need to finance that. Look, I said to you last week, this I've just said now, 1.5 billion. Between 1.5 billion to 2.2 billion a year in pound sterling, just pound sterling. In the UK, 3 million Muslims are generating that money. And that's not even accounting for the the cash stuff that flows through the masjids up and down the country. That's just the stuff that the charitable sector gets. Now, if a one fatwa stops that flowing to these CEOs and CFOs, and goes back into research, into the masjids that can create research departments. Not all of them. Remember, the monks, it was only a select monks that decided to create Oxford and Cambridge. There were monks up and down the country. As you may have noticed, there's a lot of cathedrals up and down this country, mashallah, right? And only out of out of those many cathedrals, the leaders, even to an extent today, are Oxford and Cambridge, right? In this country anyway. But, so it's a select monks, right? But
So
the
the
reality of
leaders
it,
that you're talking about, obviously, you mentioned they've got some kind of leadership. So we've got a leader of the Church of England. We've got the Pope. Do you think the system should be similar to that, the Islamic, or is the Islamic system totally different?
we look at the example of what's going to happen when Isa alayhi salatu wasalam comes. At the moment, it's always hierarchical. He's going to flatten it, right? Completely. Now I understand that until then, it's never going to get flattened completely. So we already have the stand-ins, the imams. They know the deen, and then on top of them is the muftis. They know the law. They know like the law of Allah Azza wa Jal in more detail,
Hmm.
right? So the imams have periphery of Allah Azza wa Jal's laws, and then the muftis know it in its solidity, and they can add to it, meaning that they can derive from the Quran and through istidlal and ijtihad that they can derive from it. You understand? So that's already a baseline. We don't have to go any further or copy anybody else. They in fact copied us, right?
Hmm.
So we just need to go. We need to what's the word? Gear the existing leadership towards that, thinking like that. And instead, I'm not coming across people my age or probably younger than me, and I'm going to give them a really hard time. I'm talking about, I don't know, the 15th of Shaban is not bid'ah or is bid'ah. I was like, what is wrong with you? You spent 5 years in Darul Uloom and this is the stuff you're coming out with? Like, really? And you're going to get a smack. I'm sorry. But like, you guys are supposed to be feeding our next generation of kids to be thinking like universal. How do I uplift everybody? How do we, get to a position where we get to Jannah, right? How do we get to that position where the people that described Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam described being dragged into Jannah, right? That's the system we want to get to, right? And this is how the imams are supposed to be giving that vivid picture, storytelling. We watch Avengers, Auzubillah, all these stuff. We have to start telling these wonderful, amazing stories, right? That are
Obviously,
dormant.
I
And
keep mentioning,
Arabic is one of them.
we've seen in the past, which I think a lot of people, also, I don't know if this is the best word, romanticize about the past when there was, when Islam
You see
dominated.
the
There was golden era of
okay.
Islam where they ruled loads of land. They even came into Europe. And yes, we know all that. But I'm trying to say, obviously,
Amr Sab, there's a hadith, and Abdul Jabbar, correct me if I'm wrong. The hadith goes that when Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was sitting with the companions, he said to them that those who are going to come in the future, they're going to be like my brothers. And then the Sahaba looked at him and he said, "But Ya Rasulullah, are we not your brothers?" He said, "You're my companions. You can see what I'm going to give you. The ones that are going to come, they're not going to see me, they're not going to hear me, and they're going to be like my brothers." Right?
Mm.
That there might have been those stages, those communities that happened since Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, after Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam's time until now. But that's what we have to cultivate our kids to think like. Sorry, they have to be in that. They have to be in that frame. Like that's what we want to be. We want to be like this with Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, right? Like, and the only way you can even get to that is to understand it through the seerah, because then you understand. But this man was amazing. What he was a warrior. He was a shepherd. He was a political scientist. He was a cosmologist. He traveled the universe, right? Not just the universe. He traveled outside of the universe, right?
what's up?
Yeah. So I agree. I
Okay.
agree the hadith that talks about Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. There's another quick hadith that I want to mention. And the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, there will always be a one specific group upon the truth from my ummah. Those that oppose them will not harm them until the promise of Allah comes. So in the hadith is talking about that the ummah will always have hayr in it. No matter how much those people oppose them, they will not be able to harm them.
Mm.
So if you do come across those people, join them.
Yeah. So obviously we need to find those people, and are they going to have halos on the head? How are they going to look?
The system is there for us to see. I mean, honestly, think about this, man. We got the masajids.
You've
How many
got
masjids are in Bradford?
you've got the Quran there,
Yeah.
the Seerah there.
As I said, there's so many Muslims. There's
In
more
the
Muslims
so
now.
what you do is, Amr, just
How do you
I just
recognize?
want to explain. You know the secular parties. Why you joining the secular parties for? Those that are doing man-made law for you, you go and join them.
I asked you,
Why
Amr
don't you
Saab,
go?
3 weeks ago, who's your thought leaders? Now, are you starting to see the picture now?
So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala clearly tells you in the Quran, Surah number 3, ayah 104, that وَلْتَكُنْ مِنْكُمْ أُمَّةً يَدْعُونَ إِلَى الْخَيْرِ وَيَأْمُرُونَ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ وَيَنْهَوْنَ عَنِ الْمُنكَرِ وَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْمُفْلِحُونَ. Let there arise from amongst you, amongst the ummah, a group or party that invites you to hell, enjoins what is good and forbids what that is evil. And they
Subhanallah.
are the ones that are going to be successful.
Yeah.
So
And
if you join
subhanallah, Amr
Labour
Saab.
Party or Conservative Party
Yeah.
or become independent, those are not on
Those are
Islam.
the characters that are going to come groveling to us. And listen, this is Amr Saab. Isn't it exciting that your kids, could be amongst those who are going to help that group? It takes work, right? There could be your kids, man, my kids, your kids, Abdul Jabbar, your kids, like your nephews, nieces could be driving, working together to help to establish those the elite, the group that will do that. Like, because that's what Abdul Jabbar has been talking about, the Nusra and about in the last
What I need
3
to
weeks.
decipher, what I'm trying to decipher is, who are these people? You say, obviously, you've given me rather.
Who was Oppenheimer, who was Hawkins, who was Isaac Newton, right? That's the language of power is in physics today. It could be something else tomorrow. So that's the things we've got to lead in and catapult to the next level. And you can't get more amazing than traversing the universe, right? These guys just want to go to Mars, and even then they say it's going to take 50 years or 100 years, right?
So back to the actual question. So the Woods Hub, just then I'm going to go to AJ. So are you happy with the UK government getting rid of what do you call people who commit crimes or who are from different backgrounds? They're not white British. They might be from the Asian, Pakistani background or other Muslim backgrounds. Are you okay with that?
No, I'm not, because the biggest criminals are the government itself. They need not blame the immigrants and the Muslims. They need to tell us why they are
what happened to
pressing
the
the people.
PPE money? What happened to the insider trading with the Epstein connection? Who's gonna, they've been telling us it's the benefit scroungers when the benefit stuff is nothing, right? And they've been taking millions, if not trillions, out of.
Yeah.
And they're the ones that engineered the 2008. Wasn't it Gordon Brown that came up with that wonderful idea of quantitative easing, which effectively means we're going to print more money and make everybody poorer across the globe?
Or they don't want anyone to talk about that.
We'll talk about
I'm
that.
just going to mention about Epstein because you keep we mentioned him. We said his name about 10 times.
No. Let's get away from him because he's a small fry.
He's a dodgy individual, obviously, who most likely is an Israeli Mossad agent, obviously
There
from
were bigger players, man. There's bigger societies
who were
than him.
creating influence to various means, and he was there part of that. And he obviously we've got the current. We had the UK ambassador. We had the current US president involved. Believe it or not, so there's a massive conspiracy, if I can use that word. But yeah, he's what do you call it?
I think you can use that word because
most likely
conspiracy means someone conspiring to get their means.
Most likely he was an evildoer and an evil believer, from what we can see from the actual Epstein Island and whatnot. Right? Just a quick one, and just a yes or no. So the Daily Mail are reporting that a Gazan-born mother of three who came to the UK as a refugee and is now a British citizen was refused permission to bring her extended family into this country. Now she has won a court case to bring 18 members of her family into Britain. Do you think that's acceptable, Dawood?
Yeah, why not? It's moral.
So, Ajisab, are you okay with that as well? Or do you think there should be some kind of restrictions? Because people coming,
Who,
obviously, people
hold on, Amr Saab. Who's aiding the destruction of this lady's land, a home? Who's aiding
there's loads of
politically?
raiders, there's
No,
loads.
no, this country itself is.
Yeah, yes,
They're
yes, it is.
sending spy planes. So
Yes,
the
it is.
very least it could do is help at least one or two souls
Mm.
to get out of that miserable condition. That's the least. Now, forget the government anyway. This is our responsibility as Muslims. We're supposed to be driving the policy to
So what we,
to halt it
yeah,
entirely.
what we could see from this is she's this mother of three. Obviously, she's calling her the relatives into the UK, and she's won the court case. She's not saying, or she's not bowing to any over Palestinian authorities which are non-existent, or Syrian or any of the Muslim authority. She's going to the help and aid of the British Christian mainly community for help.
Christian, secular man.
Secular, technically speaking, is a Christian country.
I don't know. How do you guys technically say that when more than
Tell you,
40%
I-
is? What
I-
was the last sentence?
so basically, most of their names are Christian names.
The
Then we've
Christian
got
names. But what are
king,
their beliefs?
the king, who is the head of the Church of England, is a Christian, and we got more.
Is a figure state. So the guys who are running the show are parliamentarians.
Uh, and they've got some unelected lords who are from the church as well. There's a system, and is a weak system. It's a bit like and the Ottoman Empire or Ottoman Caliphate. Towards the end, they had a lot of dodgy stuff going on. They legalized gay relationships and other stuff, and they didn't have much power, but it looked like as if there was a caliphate.
Yes, like she had a choice. I mean, if Amr Saab, if you were in her shoes, what
Had
would
a
you do?
choice. She went to the court.
This is a moral issue, isn't it? It's a moral kind of. It's
Ahmed,
ethical.
right at the end of the Ottoman Khilafah, all the court cases you can go and check them out. Were they according to the Quran and Sunnah, or were they just because the constitution or the law Sharia was done right at the end, 1924. Except that there was a conspiracy against the Islam, which took over centuries. And right at the end, why did they destroy the Khilafah? They destroyed it because they don't want to see a unified Islamic Ummah standing up to account them, to stop them looting the resources of India, of Africa, enslaving people.
I know, but in 1858, right? Obviously, they had the Tanzimat changes to the Ottoman Caliphate, where they brought in European laws, and including where the new code did not punish same-sex acts, so same-sex acts. So these were as early as 1858. There was no European
brother,
involvement then.
You kind of like, this is what happened, wasn't it? There was no thought leadership from the imams anymore. They sent their kids to Europe, and the Europeans became their thought leaders.
There would have been a lot of people thinking, but that's what I'm trying to say. You saying this isn't a Christian country. I'm saying it is, from what obviously constitutionally and what happens around is
Constitutionally, it isn't it? It's the parliamentarians.
It's not. If it was France,
Guy Fawkes, didn't Guy Fawkes get hung because of the whole
constitution? France in its constitution says it's a secular country.
Amr Saab, I want it to be a Christian. At least then we have.
Yeah, I think
we can say to them, look, if you want God's superior law, then look at the final testament, which is the Quran.
No, we'd rather
right?
have Christians than
But
pagan
it isn't.
worshippers
That's the thing.
or
It's a
evil worshippers.
Guy
You
Fawkes, wasn't
understand
it?
that?
Guy Fawkes. Didn't Guy Fawkes get like hung because he
Ahmad, you're
wanted
not
it to be
gonna get
Christian?
a utopia. You're not gonna
Mm,
get a utopia. So what?
mm.
When you look at Islam, you look at it for the weak people, not only for sinners. They knew these things were going to happen. So when we look at the Medina model, and then after that, when we move to Baghdad, the best thing that obviously we did was not to go and loot them people, but we made them centers of
Yeah,
civilization.
it was an interesting one. I can't remember what part of the. It was Rome somewhere, where half the city, Khalid ibn Walid conquered. They surrendered, and the other half didn't. And then they came to a compromise because they fine. We won't take the other half's loot, even though it's one city, same city.
Mhm.
That's fascinating, isn't it? So they just got co-opted and said that they'll just pay the jizya, right?
Yeah.
In the end, and I think, and then the other half wanted to fight to the end. But I think there was a compromise made, and Abdul Jabari might be more familiar with this. But it kind of gives you that kind of insight. So Islam always comes from the moral side, the capital side. It's where it's like this dunya isn't the end or be all. We're here to help one another. That's why we
Mhm.
do Jamaat. Amr Sahib, that's why we stand shoulder to shoulder. That after we done our salams, that I need to understand you, Amr, what you're going through. You're gonna explain to me what you're going through, and I'm gonna try to look for solutions for you. And then Amr Sahib, I'm gonna explain to you what I'm going through, and maybe you can help with what I can. And then it'll be the same on my brother Abdul Jabbar on my right side, and so on and so forth. That's what it was. Medina Masjid in time of Abu Bakr as-Siddiq was it Abu Bakr as-Siddiq or Umar ibn Khattab? It was busy 24 hours a day. Think about that for a second. It was packed 24 hours a day. Not just Muslims, kuffar as well, right? They wanted solutions. They wanted like now we can't imagine that. We can't manage going because we don't. The mosque doesn't give us any value. When's the last time you felt any? Did your IQ go up when you went to the masjid? I can't think of a time. And so you feel like you can't add value to the masjid, and the masjid is not adding any value to you, right? So that's where we are at. So that's why me and Abdul Jabbar are going to keep banging on about the Manida model, Medina model, right? And we can get it back because the bricks and mortars are there. Now we need to get into the philosophy and psychology back. So then we can achieve the means that we want. And Amr Sahib, after all is said and done, we just want to get to Jannah. We want to cross that Sirat. I can't picture that happening for myself, knowing that I've just witnessed thousands of children get slaughtered on my screen and millions in humiliation in Sudan being starved. Yes, I can't picture myself. I can picture myself being raised and then the same children dragging me and saying he didn't do jack all.
Mm.
He didn't do nothing for me.
Unfortunately, there's been Muslim involvement in those wars as well. So we say, AJ Saab, we need to carry on. So the in US
Muslim
and
involvement, yeah. What does that got to do with anything? Muslim? As a Muslim, you can't commit a crime. A
no, you mentioned
criminal has to
no,
be
no,
held to be account.
you
Yes.
mentioned
So
Sudan.
who is the one that enforces them
We've
to?
got the United Arab Emirates who are involved in funding
And
opposite sides and
just to coin the term of what's it called? What's his name? Saladin again. That was Dubai, the bathroom of Shaitan. Like
Mhm.
that says it all, right?
Mm.
Right. So they're gonna do whatever they because remember in the time of in the Medina there was a man called Ibn Ubay. Ibn Ubay was jealous of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
Mm.
Now, so that's what I'm saying. Once you get into the seerah and the philosophy and psychology, then you can see your enemies as well. They're from within. It's always within.
right. AJ Saab, why is it in the US and India we're seeing a lot of Muslims being kicked out of those countries as well?
This is a whole pattern of what we've been seeing for the last 20 years. Uh, since the 9/11 attacks on the World Trade Center, after that, you've had You had the media, you had political parties, you had individuals, you had media running a narrative that the Muslims are terrorists. Islam is terrorism. This is how many times, 20 years, this is the brainwashing that they've been repeating over and over again. So there's a saying: if you repeat a lie, it will be thought to be truth. But
Oh,
just going on to America now and India.
mm,
So in India, the BJP has won the elections near Bangladesh, the area, and what they're doing is they're throwing the people. They're literally throwing people into storms full of mosquitoes. They're killing people by threatening moving them out into Bangladesh. And people under the CA rules, which is the citizenship rules, they're using that for Muslims particular, and even Christians.
mm,
So this is going on. It's a possible hidden genocide that's taking place in India,
yeah.
where masjids are being demolished. People are being attacked by these Hindutva mobs. So it's, same thing is happening where, the Muslims are being demonized. After being demonized, they are fair game. And now, if you look at the other side of the pond, America, you've got the ICE, the ICE, which stands for um, Immigration and Customs Enforcement. So they're going around picking people up, putting them into detention centers. They've even fired and killed people while they're trying to arrest people
Mm.
in
So
their cars.
has
You go
anybody
to
has any Muslim nation, shall we say, or Muslim country or Muslim leader condemned this? Or basically, we got poor Muslims being killed, poor Muslims being kicked
they
out.
are the problem. These rulers are the problem. Do you not understand, Ampere? I mean, they are the problem
I understand that, but
and not the
most,
solution. Then the problem, because then they're part of the slaves to Washington, America. They're not going to look after, what do you call it? They're not going to speak up for Muslims. They don't represent Muslims or Islam. They're just nation states that were created after the World War to keep the Muslims divided. After they destroyed the Ottomans, the French and the British, they drew up these nation states to keep control over the Muslim world.
what about the thought leaders that sometimes we mention, which sometimes Ajay Saab, you and Dawood mention,
They
what they
don't
do?
exist. They
But
don't
I think,
exist.
what about Sahil Adim?
What can one man do? He needs 20. We need 20,000 more of them. We need literally 20,000 of them in different fields, in legal fields, legal framework,
Can I just ask, where have
philosophy,
you got the 20,000?
in physics, in chemistry. We need 20,000 of them.
Where have you got the 20,000 figure from, Dawood Saab?
We're 2 billion now, so we need 0.01% of to create the elite. How many? In fact, we probably need less because Amr Saab, how many people do you think ruling the world right now?
This figure of 0.01%, how do you know where we've got that figure from?
Those are the ones that's through the Sira, man. That's the numbers. There was not even less numbers because of the population was less, but that's the percentage of individuals that took the world over for Allah Azza wa Jal.
At what point?
After Abu Bakr, Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu anhu.
Okay. Right. So, okay, that's fine. Okay, no, I just thought, because you mentioned that figure couple times, and obviously sometimes we need to know where.
You know what? It's probably less. Because if you look at it, let's be honest. How many people do you think rule the world today? It's not going to be more than 1,000.
Definitely less than
It's
1%.
it's not even. It's yeah, way less than 1%. It's gonna be like maybe 50 or 60 individuals that shake everything up globally.
Mm.
We
But
need
part of
Muslims. We need
we-
we need people on ikhlas, surah like ikhlas, to be in those positions. We need those 60 individuals that are currently jigging things around the globe. We need those on ikhlas. At the moment, they were shaitan, right?
maybe it isn't the right time then. Maybe this isn't
Yeah,
the right.
it was always a right time because the fight is always on. This is what you got to understand. The best example you and me have is Hussein radiallahu an, Hussein alayhi salam, who who went against Yazid, who went against it. Yeah. So who went against uh, against what was batil. So this is haq and batil. The fight of haq and batil is always going to happen. Yeah. So it's not like this right time, bad time. My friend, I don't know when I'm going to die. Neither do you. So at least let's go out with a fight.
So India, which is
Sorry, do you know what it is? We are kind of like we've been brainwashed into thinking that we want long lives. We want actually not long lives. We want amazing deaths. Again, that's from Sahil Adim. But just something along those lines. We want to go in a way where, you know what, like we're getting dragged into Jannah. That's what more. That's what we want. That's how we want to go out,
Hmm.
right? And the only way we do that is by work, and it's in our hand. Look, see, Allah.
So you keep mentioning this individual, Sahil Adim. I've definitely come across him, and
I recommend. He's not the only one. You got like the classics, man, like Israr Khan. He's saying the same thing, Doctor Israr. You got the likes of Maududi. I mean, I came across Maududi thanks to my Ustad Ibrahim from Senegal, mashallah, tabarakallah. Historian. Also check out Historian. He's really really good. And uh, and so we have these visionaries, and it's just tapping into, and the only thing they tapped into was the Quran. They said stick to the Quran, and the only way you can stick to the Quran is through Sirah.
these visionaries, are they different to a leader?
Visionary is different to a leader.
Are they the same thing, or are they gonna come
I
from?
guess they were thought leaders in
Or are they
the
gonna be
aspect. You
part of?
got like Allama Iqbal would be considered them. So we've witnessed
Mm.
what they had to offer. Said Qutb. So we've got these guys. So and he's Egyptian. There's plenty of names we can reference in the last 200 years. I mean, Malcolm X.
So what's your advice to 200 million people who are living in India, who have obviously there was loads of atrocities happening there? What's your advice to them?
My advice to them, not to them. My advice to the Pakistani army. In fact, not even to them. My advice to the muftis in Pakistan to create that fatwa, point the damn rockets towards Tel Aviv, and overthrow New Delhi. Now, that's it. And if you don't do it, for any person in the Pakistani army, it's haram for you to remain in that army.
I
That's the
understand.
fatwa. That's
Okay.
it. So that
Are,
look, man,
are you entitled to give a fatwa?
I'm not. No, I'm.
So she said that's a fatwa. No, so if we
I want them to give that. They're the best to do that. They're the ones that know the law.
who's gonna help Pakistan? There's nobody gonna help Pakistan.
Oh, come on, man. Allah Azza wa Jal. Come on, when you got Allah on your back. Come
Okay,
on, man.
I understand that, but
You got
Pakistan
this.
has
What I understand.
lost,
You got to understand the system how it
Pakistan has
works.
lost several wars
Huh?
when they have gone along. I understand what you're saying. Pakistan has lost several wars when they've come
Did
into.
they lose the war last year? Was it last year? That skirmish? No.
Technically, I don't know if that's classed as a war, but what do you call definitely Pakistan won that.
They crossed and they weren't too far from New Delhi. Let's just say that.
And I opposed the what do you call what's his name, the army chief for they have basically the army has done quite a bad job. If you look at
I'm
the
telling you,
war,
man, Asif, if Asif
and the
Munir,
Air
like,
Force, the Pakistani Air Force has done a brilliant job. And now what we've got is the leadership from the army in basically affecting the leadership of Pakistani Air Force. So obviously we had that recently happen, but I think the Pakistani Air Force is on record an organization that
we
actually deployed.
we don't know what the
So
other departments are capable of.
so what if they take your advice and
My advice, no, my advice, Alhamdulillah. This is
they
what the stuff is from the Quran, man.
if they
This is a
if they,
mandate from the Quran.
they bomb New Delhi and then where places
We
like
You don't
don't.
have to
Kasur,
bomb New Delhi.
We
places like Kasur and Lahore being taken over, which in
Well,
the
hey,
past
listen,
we
man.
have.
If you take over a capital, they ain't gonna come for you.
Is there any guarantees that if they fire, if they attack, there will be they will win?
Oh, Allah ne bandeya, Amar Saab. Oh, these people are cow piss drinkers. Even if there was an insurgency in India, it would probably be the weakest insurgency known in the history of man. Right? So it's possible. And in fact, the people there, their psychology is they just want to be led. They just want to be slaves. That's the psychology of the subcontinent. That's why we are the way we are, man.
Mm.
The
No,
only
obviously,
thing that's difference between us and them is we've gone la ilaha illallah. We're trying to understand the philosophy and psychology of Hussein radiallahu anhu. We want to get out of the slave mentality. That's the
maybe
difference.
maybe is that obviously if you look at Maslow law and other psychology,
Maslow hierarchy of law. Oh
yeah,
yeah, that was a really interesting one. I know I'm going to say his name again, Sahiluddin. He did a really interesting one, and it really blew my mind. Subhanallah.
okay. So basically,
Ibrahim, let me. You're gonna love this, Amr Sab. You're gonna love it. And Abdul Jabbar, correct me if I'm wrong on this. Surah Al Ibrahim. There's a dua. There's the dua that Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam made for Ismail alayhi salam. The dua was that Ya Allah, make Ismail connect with you first. Yes. So Ismail's self-actualization was where? With Allah Azza wa Jal first. Then he said, then Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam goes and Ya Allah, allow him to have the love for the people and the people to have love for him. Basically, like, just broadly speaking, he never wanted Ismail to be the one who takes from people. He just wants him to give to people, service, caring, to people. And then the last thing. What was the last thing that Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam prayed for Ismail alayhi salam? Was his bread. It's Maslow's upside down, man. What is Maslow's upside down?
okay,
Because
okay.
what does Maslow say? Maslow says, "Pet pehle par na." The fir insan
The reason I mentioned that is because there were 16 famines in India subcontinent. That's the reason why I mentioned. I think that's caused a lot of health issues even now, and psychologically, obviously, the peoples were defeated in that. I just thought I'd mention that. But the other question to you is, we've got these ideologies, but I think a quick question for you that I'll ask you: if, for example, Asim Munir, Chief of Army, Chief of Staff, Armed Forces, if he says tomorrow he's taken over military coup and says, "I want to establish a caliphate," would you say yes to that?
Allahu Akbar.
Is that yes?
Allahu Akbar, Allah is the greatest.
Will you accept that?
Yeah, if anyone establishes a caliphate, well done.
And it's possible now. It's more possible now than ever because the rift between Iran and India is gone. There's no longer a diplomatic relationship between them. So there's no issue with them pointing rockets towards Tel Aviv, right? None at all, right? And because they'll have the full backing of Iran, right? And they can take New Delhi. In China doesn't even like New Delhi. Oh, that's another one off the shoulders for Pakistan. So in terms of this is like Allah Azza wa Jalla is pushing it that way, and now it's up to these guys to play their part, and it's up to the clergy to give the right messaging, right? because if the clergy, you remember, they got adherents. They got adherents in the army, meaning people who follow these guys like Taqi Usmani. And if Taqi Usmani comes up with an amazing fatwa, they'll put the pressure on the generals if the generals are not adherents. And if the generals are adherents, they're gonna push up the pressure up further up.
Okay, I think we need to swiftly move on because the last topic, probably for 5-6 minutes, is so what is political Islam? And apparently, there's supposed to be some kind of ban on political Islam. Please guide us.
So,
That's very good.
so the Islam is spiritual and political,
Exactly.
right?
Okay.
So they say, look,
Amr Sahib, the moment you said La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah, that's the ultimate political statement. You've made a decision. You've made a bayah.
So I don't know. I would personally class as a religious statement. What's political about that?
Everything, because you have said there is none worthy of worship but Allah, and that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is the final messenger. So not only have you said that you don't believe in any other laws, including the law of the land, other than Allah's wajals, He's the supreme, and that that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is the final messenger. So you don't believe that Isa alayhi salam is the final one. You believe in all those messengers, but they're not the final messengers. So then, if Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is the final messenger, it's the final testament. That's a political statement.
Okay.
Ultimate political statement.
Ajisab, is that
So-
correct?
yeah, that's correct. The thing is, the problem the West or the Kafar have always had is not you building a mosque and they're praying in that one. They have a problem when you say that this deen has come to dominate over all of the deens. That is
Yeah.
critical.
The book of all books.
All books, all ways of life. And this is what they are trying to stop. Because obviously, if people are praying, it's no problem for them. Fast, your individual ibadat, you can do them. Why did we leave India for? Why was the partition done? We could have prayed in India.
Yeah. Ujazat.
I understand that, but well, we're going to get
What's
into
the problem?
technicalities. Obviously, Muhammad Ali Jinnah, who was a pretty liberal person by every session of the imagination, he was a pretty liberal person. He knew that there's going to be issues for Muslims in that country, and he created a democracy. He didn't create a caliphate.
He didn't create the democracy. That's an unfair charge against him because he died before anything else. I think that's an
He was alive in 1940 when the partition happened. He was alive.
He passed away before any other before any kind of apparatus could be achieved. But so that's a pretty bit of an unfair charge against him to say that he wanted a democracy. Democracy came afterwards. In fact, it was a military rule for the best part of its few years until what's his name, Bhutto came on the scene.
Okay, right. Do you agree with that, HSL?
I agree that there was whatever happened in the beginning.
Basically, what my opinion is, I'll tell you my opinion, because I think this particular person, even Mahatma Gandhi, Muhammad Ali Jinnah, they were sick and tired of foreign occupation.
Mahatma Gandhi and Muhammad Ali Jinnah, din raat na fark, like what, complete different philosophies.
But they had respect for each other. They belonged to one party at one time. But I'm just,
You got to read Maududi's works then, my man.
yeah. So what I'm saying is they wanted to get rid of occupation by any means necessary. So I think
Fought against the Raj, British Raj was removed, and what happened afterwards?
Hindu Raj.
Is the Indian Penal Code the Pakistan was applied there not the same as what
India
was
is a
applied
secular
English
country.
common
India is a
law
secular country.
was applied in 1857, the Indian Penal Act? What law has it changed by creating Pakistan? or Bangladesh or whatever state you want. If you want a free independent Kashmir, what law are you going to implement there? You're not going to implement the Islamic Sharia. You'll create another secular state that's going to have loads of problems where people's livelihoods,
Yeah.
living crisis is going to continue.
But if you're relieving somebody from hardship, if they're under hardship, they're under a brutal rule, isn't that a good thing?
They wouldn't let you. I mean, they will solve all their problems.
Like, for example, if Kashmir, for example, became independent now, obviously we do know lots of countries in the world are messed up. But if it became independent, where 80% of the Muslims who in the country are live in peace, the mosque will be bulldozed down. You think that's a good thing?
They won't do that. This is just dreaming. The people are telling you a dream. They're not going to happen. The UN resolution passed in 1947 was stop the Muslims from taking over the Kashmir. They passed the UN resolution. We fell for it.
United Nations, all these alphabet organizations are there to instrumentalize against the Muslim in Islam. They're using the exact same framework of Umar ibn Khattab, but for their own agenda.
Obviously, it makes sense.
This is what we said at the beginning. Amr Sahab, we want to use Umar ibn Khattab's framework that he got from Allah Azza wa Jal to uplift everybody, including the Muslims. Yes.
So obviously, dividing the Muslims in a way for the rulers, British, French, it was a victory for them in the sense that they divided us. Obviously, currently we're still seeing issues where Pakistan and East Pakistan split up. We're seeing issues in Kashmir. We're seeing issues in lots of places. There's no resolutions coming.
You remember we said about that last week? We were talking about those 13 martyrs. Now, the same military members or military men that joined Pakistan, or the same military men that were serving in the British Empire, that turned a blind eye to the martyrs in 13. They didn't go to help them, did they? So this is what you have to understand, the psychology of these individuals. They were just there to make sure their bread wasn't going to go moldy, right? And that's they were opportunists, and that's what happened. And they were fully trained by the
I don't know if
secular
it's a look or what, but obviously we've had cases where in British India, the Ottomans sent a letter to the Muslims not to fight in the war against them. But obviously, we know.
And the courageous ones didn't.
Betray.
No, courageous ones didn't.
That letter didn't receive them, for example. I'm just giving an example.
No. They didn't. Why did they need a letter? They didn't need a letter.
Those days you need.
They already. A Muslim doesn't raise his hand against another Muslim, and those who understood, like the ones in Singapore, about the Singaporean martyrs, you should check those guys out. They understood. They picked up those same muskets and pointed them at the British soldiers. That's the difference. That's the psychology of Hussein, right? That's Hussein radiallahu anhu, Hussein alayhi Islam psychology that we need to tap into now.
Right. So what is political Islam? Quickly, is AJ. I asked
Again, it's just a funny one, isn't it? Islam is political.
Islam.
So
political Islam, if you want to talk about it, if you look at political, it's opposite to Western politics.
Islam is politics.
So
Islam is politics.
So Muslim Brotherhood or what do you call
put all the parties aside. You asked a simple question. Islamic politics. There is no Islamic politics. Islam is politics. Right? What is politics? Politics is to have understanding from one another, try to uplift one another, to make sure that nobody gets shortchanged. Yes, that's what politics is. So Islam is that, right? Islam is that law that makes sure no one gets shortchanged. You know, this is the baffling thing in this world is we forget, and Allah Azza wa Jalla is reminding us that you and me, all of us, are equal. Meaning that Amr Sahib, if an 8-year-old says to me, Dawood, this is wrong, and he's right, I have to follow it. I can't just slap him out the way and say, no, you're little. What do you know? No, if he's right, I have to see. And if someone
is Muslim Brotherhood political Islam?
What was that?
The Muslim Brotherhood is that.
Amr Sahib, again, do you understand do you understand? We've answered that question. There's no such thing as what's called political Islam. Islam is politics.
The Westerners, so the Western thinkers, they want
the Western,
to divide Islam.
Western thinkers is secularism. They like to separate the church from the state. So they just the copy pasting that philosophy for Muslims when they use the word political Islam. Yes, but it doesn't exist. We don't use. This is where we were talking about at the beginning. The mosques need to be the thought leaders. These kind of lexicon would not exist if they were challenged from the get-go.
It's just that the topic that we had was a ban on political Islam. That's what I'm asking.
What you can say is political party.
The Baath Party, which exists in
secular. That's a secular. That wasn't Muslim. That wasn't Islamic. Okay. No, it was socialist, man.
So what would you classify Muslim Brotherhood as? Something is that correcting or are these organizations correct?
They've got noble intentions, they've got noble means, but what we have to come back to is
if you look at the banning, that is a political action, political aim. You know, the why are they being banned? Why are they being banned? That's the first question we could ask. And what have they done wrong?
Yeah.
So Muslims are calling, United Arab Emirates are calling for Muslim Brotherhood to be banned.
So I'm not taking anything serious what they say, man. Come on, man. Bathroom of Shaitan. I wouldn't want to listen to anything they say.
They're calling for that organization to be banned in the United Kingdom. Is that a correct action? So this will go Muslim government, should we say kingdom, claiming that a Muslim Brotherhood,
Muslim kingdom,
organization.
Are you talking about a kingdom like this land? Take all the Arabia, UAE, all these the little statelets, little petty thieves that are taking over the resources of the Muslims. When the Muslim Ummah stands up, they will not have a hiding place because they will run with that whatever gold they have or what. And the Ummah will not let them off. Because they are looting the Muslim Ummah's wealth. They are conspiring against the Muslims. And about political Islam, they don't want any opposition to their rule. That's the aim of their bans. And as for Britain, it feels under pressure to ban them because of the far-right groups that are getting money from there. We've discussed this before.
We do know Tommy Robinson and other groups, far-right groups, are getting funded from the United Arab Emirates, and that does exist for some reason. I don't understand why a Muslim nation, Muslim kingdom should do that, but for some reason, crazy reason, they're doing that. I understand.
And if you, Amr Sahib, one cursory look at the Seerah will make you realize why they're doing that. One cursory look, especially what happened in Medina. Right. And this is why this is important, that we need to just have even just a basic view of it, then we'll understand our enemies. They have their agenda and we have ours. Ours is Jannah, theirs is dunya. And let them have it. Like you said, your question was political Islam. I think that this doesn't exist. It's not, it's an oxymoron, right? Because Islam is politics. Islam is everything. It's the thing that
I'm trying to decipher is which is obviously I think in the past I've made.
If you want to talk about technicals here, let's talk about technicals here. Let's talk about we're going to go straight back to the mosques. If the mosques are doing their job, no one would get proscribed for thinking a certain way because these guys didn't commit any crimes. Whether it's HD or even let's go to Muhajirun. Yeah, let's go to them. If the Muhajirun didn't get banned, then HD wouldn't have got banned today, right? Because we let the Muhajirun get banned for just having their opinion. That's all it was. They had a certain. I don't prescribe to it, but they had a certain view, and 99% of the time we're with them anyway, right?
Who was the leader?
Their demeanor was wrong.
Was it Amjad Chaudhry, the
What
leader?
is
exactly.
What they're trying to, obviously, if you look, what they're doing, policing our thoughts.
Yeah, exactly. It's thought policing.
Policing our thoughts.
So
That's what it is.
That's what we are
So
against.
they're saying, don't think about political Islam.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you want me to give you examples, look at the preventive agenda.
Sorry, go.
From all, since the last 22 years, they've had this narrative against Islam that if you don't change and stay in with the West within our way of life, then you are not welcome here. You are either with us or with the terrorists. So how do we challenge this narrative? Is to expose them. They are the ones who are terrorizing the world.
Yeah. And the Muslims, the Imams were in a key position to do that. Imams, Muftis as well. They could have clearly said, look, at the end of the day, you said you are for freedom of religious expression. You also said, what?
The Imams are with the rulers, like the United. There's Imams in.
We're talking about the UK.
Pakistan, Imams in the UK.
Amr Saab, let's narrow it down. Amr Saab, HD got prescribed in the UK. Muhajirun got prescribed in the UK. IRGC got prescribed in the UK just recently by that. Auzubillah. I'm not even going to say her name. And Hamas got prescribed in the UK. Yes. And these what they're prescribing is thought, political thought, not even just thought. They're policing the thought. Who are they to police thought? If someone prescribes to a certain ideology, what difference does it make to you? So they're
classing them as extremists. That's why.
Under what barometer?
No, I agree with you in the.
I'm not. I just. You see, this is not. You and me are doing this. This is what the Imams should have done. They should have taken it to the Supreme Court all the way in 2005, 2000, whenever these cases were coming up. Yes.
So how will Imam do that? Should there be an organization?
Imam. Okay. Imam is not just.
There needs to be an organization. The Imam can alone do that from a member in Bradford.
Amr Saab, yes, not from Mimber in Bradford. Be logical here, Amr Saab. Imam should be. They should be. Each mosque should have an imam that's averse. Or each mosque should have their own discipline, but one mosque should have an imam that is averse to legal frameworks. He should be a lawyer, effectively, or barrister. You get what I'm saying, Amr Saab? He should be a barrister, meaning that he can fight the case. Yes. Imam's job is not to do the janaza and is not to do the jamaat. That's for us. His job is to lead in those fields. Yes, so that he can uplift the community. Yeah. So that's on us now. We need to force them to get into these positions. In fact, we should strip them of the title imam and until they get into these kind of fields. And that's not for all of them. We only need like a subsection, maybe 10. We just need 10. 10 imams, that's it. In legal, 10 imams in physics, 10 imams in chemistry, so 10 imams in political science.
There is a Muslim Council of Britain. Do you think that's not a good organization to advise the imams?
Have they done it? Have they advised? No. I mean, I give credit where it's due. I think one of the geezers did say that that quote that I'm giving you, he did. I did get it from him. I can't remember his name, and if he's listening, I apologize. He was the one that said that if the money that the mosques raise to build mosques could be used towards like campaigns, and I don't agree with that, but I think Why campaigns? Why not use it for driving policy? You know, you don't. Why you need to speak? Why do you need to be the face? You need to just drive the policy. You drive the policies through research. So use that money to do the research within existing masajids,
I know, but
right?
you need to do the research. That's separate. But then you need to influence. We're talking about. I'm just giving an example. The Zionist.
Research is what influences, my friend. Amr Saab, there are journals that are compiled on like a monthly basis, compiled, and those people who compile those journals, they're not Muslims. That's what I'm saying. We need to get to that, right? And that they're only a select community. It's probably like 10,000 of those in the world. So that's where the Muslims need to get. They need to lead in political science, physics, chemistry, and legal, like national or international legal framework, so that they can argue the cases from the Quran, right, and bring those forward, right? And
There are journals from Muslims as well,
they what?
including Pakistan. There are journals from Muslims. We're talking about science, mainly science-based journals. Uh, but with regards to, obviously, we've got. So you're saying an organization like Muslim Council of Britain would be.
You're just adding unnecessary layers.
I
The
don't know,
mosques are there.
who's going to instruct the imams? Who's going to work with the imams?
Are there no barristers in Bradford?
There's barristers, but we've got the famous.
And the barristers
Who's
can't
favorite
even
barrister is Imran Hussain. He's
is he a
also
barrister?
he's an MP as well.
MP? Is he a barrister?
Yeah,
Okay, so he can go and train up an imam, help him understand the framework.
he's there chilling out doing all sorts. He's not going to train them up.
Did they grab him by the neck?
Right.
Isn't
We're
he for
gonna.
the people?
Is we're nearly
Voted
approaching.
by the people for the people?
We're nearly approaching 1.5 hour. Aegis Hub has said less on this program. I don't know why.
So
So Aegis Hub,
I'm doing more listening than talking today.
yeah. So Aegis Hub, we've got this obviously Muslim Council, but other organizations. Do you think they're not fit for this, for the purpose of establishing unity or some kind of unilateral system or even a caliphate?
In UK, what we need to do is protect the identity of the future generation, their Muslim identity also today. So we've got to make the communities stronger and more cohesive, but not integrating or assimilating in the society.
lead. Like, honestly,
Yeah,
like,
remember. I don't know if you remember that.
Be the
I
thing
don't know if you
that
remember.
everybody wants to follow, copy. Like, oh my
Yeah.
God, look at these guys, man, what they're doing. Like, and the only thing that
So,
happens is
we don't
when the
want to
physics
become gang leaders. We want to become world leaders.
world leaders, not even world leaders, AJ,
Not even
universal leaders.
universal leaders. And for that, we have to struggle. We have to sacrifice, and we have to go out of the way.
Exactly.
Inshallah. So I think it's been nice.
I think we'll call it a day, and thank you AJ Saab and the Wood Saab. For me personally, I can't see those leaders anywhere. I'm trying to
They're in your
find
children, man. They're in our children. Inshallah, we'll get there.
at the
Once we
moment.
can direct them through the Sirah and the Quran, and you watch how their minds expand.
We've got when I look at it, sometimes I'll be baffled. Like Asim Munir, he's a Hafiz. For these leaders, how good the potential. But I think when I saw the Muslim Brotherhood leader, even though technically speaking he was in politics, who was killed by Egypt dictators, what do you call? What was his name? Aegis
Morsi.
Morsi. Yeah, I think that a lot of people aspired to him. I think, but that's why they killed him off, because they knew that he could potentially make a change. I think
And
we
do
are
you think
we are
like
close.
we seem to have amnesia as well about this?
Mm.
What's the gentleman's name that's currently going viral? Who's talking for Palestine, and mashallah, that's good. The comedian. He was also part of the apparatus that took Morsi down, and we seem to forget that.
Mm. No,
And
there's
then you can't cry about Auzubillah, Palestine, because at the end of the day, well, you can, we should. But the reality is, if Morsi was still there today, there would that Rafah border would have been open.
Things would have been different. I think that's what we're all hoping for. And I think we're going to leave it there. And it was nice to talk to Abdul Jabbar Sahab from Bradford and the Wusam from Oxford. And, thank you for your time. Not everybody
Thank
can
you.
give the time. So I really appreciate it. Let's hope, we are
Jazakallah.
looking for a reward from Allah and nobody else. And we'll leave it there. And hopefully things will get better soon, inshallah.
Inshallah.
Take care.
Inshallah.
Allah Hafiz. Allah
Allah
Hafiz.
Hafiz. Assalamu alaikum.